Hey, it's Connor. So I decided to spin this one off into its own little thing. This was recorded on the same night where Dustin and Kellen and I recorded the Furiosa review and the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes review. We just decided that we talked about the subject long enough between films. We had just sat back down to talk about Planet of the Apes, and we got on a jag about separating the art from the artist. And so we actually had a discussion about it, and it turned into long enough of a thing that didn't relate to the other films that I just figured I don't want to waste this. So I spun it off. I made it its own thing. So that's what this episode is. No movie review today. This episode is just Kellen, Dustin, and I talking about separating the art from the artist and, cancel culture's effect on films and when it is and isn't okay and how you decide. So anyways, that was this episode. Enjoy it. It's a shorter one. See you again next week. Most of the time when you watch movies, it's like, just watch them in the order they were released. Like, don't fuck around and do this whole like whatever thing. Like, just watch them in the order they were released, because that's what most audiences had to do. We just started watching the Star Wars movies. My daughter wanted to start watching them, and she's like, what order are we going to watch? And I went on a website and looked at all the things. I was like, let's just stop. It's like, we're going to watch them in the theatrical release. It's the easiest thing to do.
4, 5, 6 and stop, because there's no more Star Wars.
I was about to say, you just go, there are only 3, daughter.
She's not 2 years old. She knows. She knows.
Don't listen to the internet.
No, she knows. She put them. They're written out on a list. She made an analog list. I can't just. It's too late. The genie's out of the bottle.
You know what's gonna suck? Your youngins are gonna love the prequels. It's gonna get. Oh my god, it's gonna make me so sad.
Yeah, kind of. That my son dips in and out. He's already watched like the middle of all of these somehow. I don't know. Anyway. But like, that's always my that's like the default recommendation. Like, unless you are like a connoisseur of a series and you can look at it and you're like, okay, actually I like this order, but like in general, the order it's released in.
I think when Dash is of Star Wars age, I'm just going to be like, nah. And be like, and
let him find it on his own
and just be like, we'll watch this when you're 13. That way that smear of childhood, I don't know, like everything is great is gone. And
my daughter's already there though. Like she already has like some pretty refined. I mean, don't get me wrong. She likes some awful shit, but
sure.
But for the most part, she has like she's not mystified by that sort of thing.
That I feel like that's part of why I have the relationship with Star Wars I have, is I didn't find it when I was a kid. Like my dad wasn't a Star Wars fan. And so like, I never really experienced Star Wars until I was maybe like 10 or 11. And by then I feel like that golden era of like, I love this because it's my childhood is gone. And like, the reason that I'm sitting here with this on my desk is because this was my childhood. And like, and so like, I don't have that about Star Wars. So I can look at it, I think, fairly objectively. And I want Dash to be able to do that and just be like, look, dude, if you're doing the prequels and you're doing the sequels, that's fine. But let's not make that a part of our childhood. Like, I don't know. I could be totally wrong. And when he's like, let's watch it, I might just be like, all right, cool, let's watch it. But like at the same time, I don't know. I also hate Star Wars. I'm going to put that out there. I hate Star Wars.
The more you tell him that, you're going to be like, Dash, it's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
And there's like a little glow screen. Son, what are you looking at? And he's like, nothing. Daddy, don't.
No. And I just hear,
so you just hear,
do it. Do it. No, it's Star Wars. That's a TIE fighter. I know that.
Is this Star Wars?
Dustin, the harder thing will be we'll be introducing him to things tangential to Star Wars that you do care about, like Indiana Jones or something like that.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, and this was, by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. George Lucas, what else did he do? He did fucking nothing. He did nothing.
Yes.
And he's going to be like, it looks like he did something called Star Wars. Star Wars seems really big. You're like, no,
it's
Oh
not.
no, Dad! I feel like you're downplaying it. It seems pretty significant.
My dad
culturally.
gaslit me as a child into believing Star Wars didn't exist.
You're gonna turn your son into Scott Evil.
Oh man, I don't know, man. Whatever. I'm just like, it sucks that now I have to like, I don't know, that Hollywood's at this point where I have to preface everything with him, like moving forward. We watch 3 Indiana Jones movies and sometimes the 4th, and that's it. And like, I have to do that now. Like, why do I have to do this?
I just accepted that I have to tell my kids, like, I have to just devolve into, like, I can't be someone who is listened to. I'm just their dad who goes, movies used to be good.
Yeah,
and they're just like, and like the moment I say it, I'm like, fuck, I've lost them. And they're just like, whatever, Dad. I'm like, fuck.
So not to go ahead and jump into our next film, but like, I'm so like sad about the day that I know I'll show him the 1968 Planet of the Apes and he'll be bored. And I'm like, stop being bored. This is fantastic. And he's just gonna be like, nothing's happening. I'm like, that's the point. It's minimal and it's fantastic.
Yeah. You have to sort of accept that, like, when he's our age, like when he's in his mid-30s, if we're not dead, he'll be like, hey, Dad, I watched Planet of the Apes the other day. And you're
that's
like,
good.
Oh, cool. Finally.
I remember that.
It might all go our way if you imagine like 20 years from now, he's like, Dad, I went back and watched, I guess if we're running with the Planet of the Apes, just to queue up the next one, the original Planet of the Apes, it was crazy. There were no AI actors in it. Like, that's the type of shit that's going to make you go, son, why are you killing me?
Leave, please leave, nurse.
Like that Charlton Heston, I looked him up. He was a real guy. It wasn't just like like an AI actor or whatever. And he might find Fury Road and be like, those are real people on those poles. Like, people aren't even allowed to like be on screen anymore.
There are no actors. What kills
Movies
me
are
is
only
like,
on mini disc now. Those are back.
What kills me is like with what I do, I'm in contact with the Gen Z, the 18 to 22s, and one of the things in talking with one of the other people, I'm being so vague, in talking with a colleague, he was telling me that one thing about them is that they don't like to watch anything that has any cast or crew that they deem problematic, right? And so I'm looking at it going like, man, that renders so many movies obsolete. And like, that sucks.
You go back in time and you're just like, nope.
That sucks. And so the idea that somebody would be like, I'm not watching Planet of the Apes because Charlton Heston was the leader of the NRA at one point. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a good movie, man. And like,
see, the one I think that'll be testing that forever is Tom Cruise. It's like, problematic? Oh, hell yeah. But man, you put him on screen like running and explosions going off, and I'm like, I'm there. Like, he could do worse things, and I'd probably still like watching Tom Cruise in films.
It's true.
He'll just go further into space. Like, oh, we'll make a movie on the moon this time.
Right.
And then, like, he's accused of something, and he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to go to Venus.
Yes. I have no affection necessarily for like Annie Hall. But I was told that they screened Annie Hall and a bunch of the students like walked out, and I'm like,
I walked out because it was boring.
But I'm like I don't know. Annie Hall's fine, but I'm like, okay. Woody Allen, very problematic. I get it, but like, I don't know. I don't own any Woody Allen movies, but like, because never mind. I'm being very self-deprecating tonight with the Sonic the Hedgehog, but I'm like, I own Sonic 2 on Blu-ray. Like, I don't own Woody Allen films, but I'm like, I'm like, but there's a lot of movies that are going to be out for the count for the foreseeable future, unless we can separate art from artist.
I wonder if that's actually like a principled stand Gen Z takes, or if they just like had like a conclave, and they're like, hey, we could sort of get out of watching a lot of old shit if we think of a really good reason why we shouldn't. And so let's just pretend, let's pretend we're morally outraged by it. And then we can get away with never having seen like the original Scream or.
Sure. But it makes me think selfishly. Like it makes me think, there's a lot of movies in my library that I like and would stand behind as films. And in the future, I may have to justify my support of those films, despite problematic cast or crew. And I don't know. My default is always, it takes a lot of people to make a film. It takes a lot of people to make a television show. And if we then discount the hard work of a lot of people because of even a lot of rotten eggs, that to me feels also evil.
It just makes filmmaking that much harder to do. It's already something that's a shit show, you know, like everything about it is trying to control chaos.
Yeah. Yep.
And to discount all this sounds like it's pushing too much in the opposite direction. Like I get it.
Yeah,
but
sure.
also at the same time, it's also just like I'm trying to think of one of the things that like I remember I went to that Flash movie. And not one time did I go like, oh, I'm very bothered by Ezra Miller or Ezra. What's his name?
Yeah.
Ezra Miller being in it. Like, you know, it's not that I wanted the movie to be a success despite that guy or whatever, but like by the time I was over with it, I was like, well, that movie just sucked because it sucked. But like, I don't know. I think it's something that maybe as people grow up, they learn to stop drawing such hard lines in the sand, because like I think it makes sense for modern filmmaking, like as a means to make sure that people that are bad, you know, bad actors in the society aren't kind of being constantly rewarded with millions of dollars for it. But I think like projecting that backwards is so freaking hard. That's like saying can't watch the Mad Max films because then Mel Gibson turned out to be like an anti-Semitic turd at a police stop.
Yeah, right.
Well, but I still go back and watch Mad Max 2, but I sure as shit don't want him to play Mad Max again.
That is the main point. Like that's a fantastic point. It's like, look, I'm just going to use a really, really hard example. The Cosby Show. Am I like, is the Cosby Show something that we should completely discount? I don't think so. But if they decided to do a Cosby Show reboot starring Cosby Show or starring Bill Cosby, yeah, that's a problem.
Hello, I'm Cosby Show.
He changed his name in prison. That's what everybody calls him in prison. Hey, here comes Cosby Show again.
All those bad things you heard about. It wasn't me. That was Bill Cosby. I'm Cosby Show.
I'm Cosby Show.
I think,
but you're right. Moving forward, I don't want any more money or platform given to him. But can I go back in time and say this whole thing, this whole body of work is now null and void? I don't think so, because that's really unfair to Felicia Rashad. It's really unfair to Malcolm Jamal Warner and Lisa Bonet and everybody else who worked so hard on that show. It sucks.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like it's just solved by people doing what they are going to want to do in that situation. If you're the type that can watch it and not be bothered by it, go for it.
Yeah, right.
If you're the type that like can't do it, it's like then the Cosby Show's not for you. Kind of, like that is the extreme example, but like it's one of those things. It's like cool. Then what are we talking about?
Right.
Are you trying to tell other people that they can't watch it?
Right.
Or are the people saying everybody has to watch it? It's like, chill out. It's media and consume it how you want to consume it kind of thing. Right. So I think it's just a lot of people like hearing themselves make noise.
Sure.
But
I think that's true. But full disclosure, I have not rewatched The Cosby Show. I do not own The Cosby Show. But yeah, I wouldn't discount.
A good example for us, Dustin. I can certainly watch Seinfeld without feeling too bad about Michael Richards being a crazy racist in that one that outburst and all that crap.
Yeah. Right.
But like, I honestly think Kramer is more of an entity in my brain than Michael Richards is.
That's right. Yeah,
So-
I totally agree. And if somebody came up to me and said, "Look, I can't watch Seinfeld because of that," totally fine. Like that's
Cool.
on you. But
Yeah.
like, but yeah, if you're telling me that I'm immoral for watching it, I would push back against that and say, I think that if I discredit this entire body of work because of him, that's really unfair to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, right? It's really unfair to a lot of other people who worked really hard and were very talented. And you know, yeah, I think if you're able to watch something and separate art from artist, I think you will find a lot of really good art. And I mean, even if we zoom out past film, artists are sometimes lunatics and artists are sometimes not the best people in the world.
I was going to say, you know, outside of filmmaking, like it also depends on what wave of it you're in. Like, where are we now on Michael Jackson's music? Like,
Right.
You remember when it like there's a huge swing against that, and now everybody's like, Michael Jackson's the GOAT, and I'm like, okay, so we're back to
it,
saying that it was like good pop music and stuff like that. And it's like, it just depends on who's talking at the time. Someone who was molested by Michael Jackson probably be like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
And someone who doesn't know about that story and just knows like Man in the Mirror is like, that's a great fucking song. Like,
yeah, right. Or you also start drawing lines like, well, but I don't. Yes, there are allegations against him. I don't believe him. I don't buy that.
the truthers.
The truthers. This is all a smear
Michael
campaign
Jackson
against
truthers.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson can't melt steel beams.
I don't know. It's I don't know. You're right. It depends on where we are on the wave, but
Yeah. I think it also, it sadly depends on if like, it's almost like the ignorance, like allows you to enjoy life more, because it's like, if nothing bad has happened to you, you don't have to like think about what music you can and can't listen to or should or shouldn't listen to, unless like it's, you know, you might go, that sucks about Bill Cosby, and then decide, you know, I can't really watch the Cosby Show anymore, not because I have anything principled against it, not because I have, you know, want to punish the other actors, but because now I can no longer see this character as America's dad because of what he was doing while this show was on the air. Or, you know, with Michael Jackson, it's like, I can almost see how people can make that separation, because it's like the man and the music different, you know, I don't know.
I don't have to watch the man. Like, I don't have to visually see him to appreciate his art. Whereas an actor, you're watching them, and that can be a big detriment, right? Like,
yeah, especially if you're supposed to like sympathize with them, you might go, it just depends on how easily you can suspend that disbelief, and you know,
right.
But you're right. Like, Hollywood is a self-selecting group of, you know, artists who are, for better or worse, wow, this is gonna sound mean, unstable, that are not neurotypical, you know, right-brained people or whatever. Like, it's a group of people who have things to express, and have, maybe a lot of them have a lot of trauma, and you know, it's and you couple that with an industry that has pretty loose regulations. It's there's not a lot of like, there's more than there used to be, but like it's not necessarily a super structured industry that you know, it's a gigantic gig economy, and so like the rules and the chains of command are constantly, you know, changing, unless like you work for the studio, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So it's like, anyway.
No, it's an interesting topic, and I do love to talk about, you know, separating art from the artist, but it's, I don't know, it stirs up a lot of emotions, and undoubtedly our listeners are yelling at their iPhones right now, like, but think about this, but think about that. And again, like, to each their own. And, you know, for me, you know, I mean, a prescient example, J.K. Rowling, can we still enjoy Harry Potter? And it's like, well, I think that it's case by case. It's can you?
Can
Can
you?
I?
Yeah.
But I don't think there should be a blanket rule of whether we should or shouldn't, but rather can you? And that's kind of where I come down on it is if you're able to, that's fantastic that you're able to do that. And if not, that's fantastic that you take a principled stand. But I don't know that we can push those thoughts on to other people, because then we're in the area of like, book bans and that kind of thing where we're pushing.
Yeah. Moral relativism is always an ongoing topic. I actually, I mean, not to extend this even further, but I used to be the type that was like, I ain't gonna say anything positive about like, the founding fathers of the United States because they owned slaves kind of thing. Like I drew that hard line in the sand. It's like, and I guess I've been softening to it because I was just saying I'd watch Tom Cruise even if he did horrible things.
If Tom Cruise had founded America,
just think I think it comes down to the person. As long as the conversation's being had, it means it's responsible.
Yeah.
A nice finishing story. One of my weirder friends in college, will not be named. I remember being in his car on the way to class, and he was just playing this like old music. It sounded like a 60s sort of acoustic rocky kind of thing. And he's like, you like this? You think this is cool? And I was like, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I dig it. And he goes, this is Charles Manson's music. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, and so like, I just remember that moment where like, I thought something was all right, and then found out that a literal monster man made it. And so everybody's going to get caught in one of those, and it's not a big deal.
It's a bad sign when you're actively enjoying something and someone goes, you enjoying this? And you're like, oh
monster.
God.
I think so.
I was. Now I'm self-conscious. I don't know
what
why.
You have to tell me. And I just remember being in class and being like, I'm really uncomfortable right now.
Oh, God.
The fuck?